The following presentation is a Simulation Football League presentation on the SFL Network on YouTube. And welcome to the Schedule Release Show live on YouTube. We like to consider this the start of a new season. I am SFL Commissioner Cameron Irvine. Settle in. It's going to be a great night. We'll introduce our panel in a moment. I'm Cameron Irvine. Alongside me tonight, we've got four of our analysts. The first is an owner of the Houston Hyenas. It's Demond Simien. Demond, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Cam. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Doing good. You excited to see where the Hyenas end up on this schedule? Did I lose you?
No, I'm still here.
Okay, good. Did you hear my question?
What was your question?
Yes, we're off to a great start. Are you excited to see where Houston ends up on the schedule?
Oh, yes, most definitely. Always excited to see where Houston.
That's awesome. Quarterback of the Baltimore Crabs, former quarterback of the Los Angeles Sharks, Matt South is here with us. How you doing, Matt?
I'm great, Cam.
I'm afraid to ask you a question because you might not answer, and then we got to do it all over again. So I won't, and I'll be a little rude about it. The running back for the Chicago Wildcats, expansion Chicago Wildcats, Dion Hawkins is here with us. How you doing, Dion?
I'm doing pretty good. Running back and also offensive coordinator. Just to let everybody know.
That's right. That's right. I have to remember that in your new role in Chicago.
I won't let you forget.
I bet you won't unless y'all start like 0-6 or something. Then you might let me forget. You were a former running back for Houston last year. Are we gonna have any dust ups on this show? Are you guys gonna be able to behave?
No, we good. It's all over here.
All right, awesome. And then a special announcement tonight. It is one of many announcements here on the show tonight. And that is that we have an official fourth commentator. I still don't even know his last name yet. His first name is Curtis, and he's with us on the broadcast. How you doing, Curtis?
That actually jokes on you. My actual last name is Curtis.
Oh, no!
So, yeah, easy fix. Easy fix. Yeah, Chris Curtis is the name. But, yeah, guys, thanks for the welcome. Should be a lot of fun. Done some things with different kinds of esports like Rocket League and with some hockey-related things. So excited to jump into simulation football and lend a hand to an already great commentary team. And looking to have a lot of fun getting to know the people in this league and the teams and players.
And you were actually referred to us by an employer or an employee at Twitch, which was a nice surprise.
Yeah, basically through the Rocket League community. And his name is Cloud Fuel. For those that know him, fantastic. For those that don't, he is a fan of SFL and has been following you guys or following SFL for a while. I was looking to expand my repertoire of things I can commentate, and he pointed me in your direction. And I'm a football fan. I'm a sports fan by nature, so it seemed like a natural fit. So here I am.
There you go. So Mr. Curtis adding to Mr. Vincent, Mr. Hamilton, myself on the calls. We're soon going to open up color commentary opportunities. We actually now have the technology to where you can be a color commentator with a play-by-play partner, and you don't even have to leave your house. We'll be rolling out those details in the coming weeks as we prepare for Season 9. So we've gotten through our introductions. It's hard to believe, guys, that 22 days ago we crowned a champion, and here we are talking about next season. It's things move pretty quickly around here.
So I can do color commentary from my house. I don't have to drive to Dallas no more.
That's right. You don't ever have to see me again.
That's nasty. No, I'm always up for the drive. Love it, by the way, though. It's good. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I think we're ready to go. We did not do any scheduled teasers. We have kept everything under wraps. We're going to break down. Here's how it's going to work, folks. We're going to break down each game through the first 3 weeks. I'm going to shuffle around some analysis to our analysts here tonight, and then we're going to go through weeks 4 through 12. Just briskly go through them, see what's on the slate, and get everyone's thoughts about the week. Then we're going to break down 13 of the 16 teams, the 13 teams that have the most user players due to time constraints, and then we'll see if we can take some calls if anybody wants to call in. The Walking Greg says, can you wait till I run to the bathroom? You really should manage your
I've taken care of that already.
bathroom breaks a little bit better. I've had the entire holiday weekend, although I guess you'd have to go more than once.
I mean,
Anyway,
easy. Put us on your phone.
Or go get a bottle or something, right? Like,
I mean, either way. Whatever floats your
Or a
boat.
pan. Get a bedpan.
all right, guys. Opening night or day in this case, Sunday, July 9th at 3 p.m. The first game, part of a triple header package. The Queen City Corsairs will host the St. Louis Gladiators. And my graphic disappeared. There it goes. Now it stays up there. St. Louis and Queen City will be the opening game of the season. St. Louis has a new head coach in James Richards, and his first crack at being an SFL head coach is against the defending champs. Demond, what do you think about this opening matchup?
I'm loving it. It seemed like it's going to be a great matchup between Queen City and St. Louis.
It's opening. It's the opening game. Let's get everybody else's thoughts as well. Matt South, what do you think about St. Louis getting the task against Queen City?
I think it's a little unfair. I mean, no
That's kind of where I was going to.
St. Louis, but I mean, they weren't the strongest league last year, and then Queen City championship, and we'll put them out there.
Yeah.
So St. Louis did win 2 or 3 last year. Dion, do you think it's unfair, or do you think St. Louis is ready for the challenge?
Nah, I don't think it's unfair. Reasons because I know everyone. I like the matchup. Everybody's interested in seeing what this new build that St. Louis is going with. First time with no wide receivers, so what not better to test a new theory than against the champion. So I think it's a great match right off the back. Everybody automatically gonna assume that St. Louis is gonna lose, but who knows? Maybe they'll jump out and show us all something different. So I love the matchup. So you never know. I ain't gonna get no prediction right now, but yeah, I like the matchup.
Well, what's interesting is if Queen City does in fact go no corners again, which I believe is true, right? Do we have that info readily available?
They do not have any corners.
No corners.
So Queen City's got no corners. St. Louis has no wide receivers. St. Louis's quarterback was a former player for Queen City, Alexander Shayatovich, going under a new name. So this is going to be a very strange and compelling matchup for opening day. So we're going to skip ahead to the evening, Sunday, July 9th at 7, the second called game of Week 1. It's a rematch of the Western Conference Final, Alaska and Dallas. As the Roughnecks will host the Storm, Alaska has to go to Dallas for the third straight time. Dallas has still not made a trip to Alaska. We'll see if they do later in the season. Matt, let's get your breakdown, Alaska and Dallas.
I like this matchup. This is the Western Conference Finals. This is a good matchup. Alaska's always a strong team. Max, I mean, he's a great guy, and I think Alaska is going to win it and have their revenge from the Western Conference Finals.
Wow, the last two seasons for Mighty RX have been ended by Stephen Molinex in the postseason, so Max Paul definitely would like to get rid of that. Okay, so we're skipping to Monday. These are all commentated games, by the way. Monday, July 10th. This is going to be a 5 p.m. start, and the two teams playing, the Chicago Wildcats. I almost called them Cougars. I'm really going to have to try not to do that this year. The Chicago Wildcats host the Cleveland Stallions, and this is an expansion team opening up things on a called game against Mac Wavy Jr., who's head coaching his first game ever. Dion is going to be involved in this game, going up against a first-time head coach in your home opener. Dion, what do you think about hosting Cleveland in your first game?
I think it's going to be an excellent matchup. As far as Chicago goes, I'm going to need an expansion team. It should be a little asterisk next to our name, considering we got all veterans, well, almost all veterans of the SFL. That was one, again, going against Cleveland with Mac Wavy and them trying to revamp theirs. It should be a great matchup, but I know my guys is ready. And that's the one thing that we wanted to go for is just people who are active, people who love the SFL and want to be a part. So us putting our team together, and I'm interested to see what they're doing over there in Cleveland because they got some good people coming over. And I know Prince and Mac and Ronnie, they all going to have their team ready to go. They got Rick O'Reilly all over there, so it should be a great matchup.
Yeah, Prince Escobar, big signing in the offseason along with Mac Wavy Jr. So that game is going to be a ton of fun Monday at 5 Central. Okay, next on the list, Monday 7 Central, the last called game of Week 1. It is an international battle as the Mexico City Aztecs will host the Vancouver Legion. Canada versus Mexico, and we get our first crack at looking at Vancouver, the last game of Week 1. Demond, a couple of Western Conference squads going at it, but what do you think of this in Week 1?
This is going to be a really good game. You know, this year we get to see Andy is really being an owner, head coach, or whatever you want to call it. Then, you know, he's playing up a great team that has a lot of experience in the SFL, which is the once before Santa Fe Santa Fe Gorillas and the Mexico City Aztecs here. So I think Andy needs to go ahead and start preparing for this game right now.
All right, the 4 other games that will be simulcast at the same time, Sunday, July 9th at 5 p.m. with our tremendous partner, Rabbit. The Carolina Skyhawks will host the Atlanta Swarm. A very different look for Carolina this year. No Andy Hamilton, no Shan Varner. Basically a rebuilt squad with a new coaching staff. Atlanta's got plenty of pieces coming back, as does Carolina. Did a nice job rebuilding. Matt, what do you think of this southeastern rivalry that may grow a little bit this year?
I like it. You know, me and James, if you guys don't know, me and James are real good buddies in real life. But Heath McDaniel Sr., I think, was it junior or senior? Either way, he was a part of that squad last year that finished the season out really strong. So I'd like to see that streak continue on to Week 1. But Atlanta's a tough team. You know, they have their first season under their belt. So I'd like to see how they come out Week 1 against Carolina. It'll be a tough matchup. Yeah,
that's Heath McDaniel Jr. re-signed this season. Also, I believe is the new head coach in Carolina. My head is spinning. I have to, I got to get used to all these new names and all these new faces. Speaking of a new face, hi Marcus Thomas in the chat, simulationfl.com. Come join our Discord community. For the first time since Season 3, the Baltimore Crabs will open the season at home. They will take on the Tallahassee Pride in a battle of two teams that are familiar with making the playoffs. Baltimore missed it for the first time last season. Dion, what you think? This is a pretty dang good matchup to be put on Rabbit.
Yeah, this is a great matchup. I'm really interested to see a revamped Tallahassee. I mean, they lost some big names last year, so we know that they're always a tough team. So no matter who's throwing the ball or making the tackles or catching interceptions, they always gonna be right there. As far as Baltimore go, these are like two staples in the NFL. Tallahassee, Baltimore, they two powerhouses. So interested to see if Baltimore is gonna change it up. Are they gonna keep dumping it out to Sanzo Robinson and throwing bombs down the field, or what they gonna bring this year? So yeah, it should be a great matchup to start off the season.
All right, Tallahassee travels to Baltimore. Great analysis all around. 2 games to go in week 1. They're both out west. Demond, the Houston Hyenas travel to take on the Sioux Falls Sparrows. Believe it or not, it's the first time Houston and Sioux Falls have ever met. Demond, what do you think?
No, Cam, that's incorrect.
Are you
Houston and
sure?
Sioux Falls, I'm positive, baby. Houston and Sioux Falls met season 7. Yes, sir.
Really? I missed it. I missed it in my analysis.
You called the game.
I did?
Yeah.
And I've called so many games. Come on.
Players mess up.
All right, good. Well, what happened the last time that you played Sioux Falls?
Well, the last time Houston played Sioux Falls, this is when, Sioux Falls was really, really into the swing game 2 seasons ago. And Houston pretty much took care of business. We took away the swing game, put a lot of pressure on the QB, and, came out with a victory.
They say that if someone seems too perfect, they're too robotic, and it's a turnoff. So I like to make a mistake every now and again. Thank you for correcting me, Demond. And,
So was that on purpose?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
So Houston taking the road to take on Sioux Falls. We'll see if they meet again later down the road. Final game in week 1. It's the only 2 teams we haven't talked about. The San Antonio Vaqueros will travel to take on the Oklahoma City Renegades in week 1, Sunday, July 9th at 5. Matt, what do you think?
I like this. They're both pretty tough teams.
They're old school guys too, aren't they?
They are old school. You don't think about them being the powerhouses of the SFL, but something new could come in this season. And I don't know, not the powerhouse teams you think of, but SFL's a wild place. Anybody can be great.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting seeing what San Antonio does now with Greg Morris at head coach. Okay, let's take let's break down real quickly week 1 before we move on. At 3 o'clock on Sunday, it's St. Louis, Queen City, followed by a quadruple header on Rabbit and a primetime game in Dallas, Cleveland, Chicago, and Vancouver and Mexico City round us out. We'll take one more look at that, as that is our opening week schedule, ladies and gentlemen. And we're excited about that. Curtis, let's get your analysis. I know you're a little new here to the SFL, but from what you know, from what you've seen, any thoughts on the week 1 slate?
I'm looking at that Vancouver, Mexico City. That's the one I'm really focused in on, because it's the first time, if I'm not mistaken, and help me with this, because of course I'm new. Vancouver and Mexico City, first time Canada and Mexico have gone against each other, and no North American and SFL team has been involved.
From what you've seen, any right, the first time. Oh, we got to echo. That is the first.
Looking at that Vancouver, Mexico City. That's the one I'm really focused on. I'm hearing the echo too.
Yeah, I don't know who it is.
I sound really good.
I think it's.
There we go.
It may have been Matt, judging by my lit up green lights, but I'm not sure. Anyway, it's gone now, so it's all good. Nobody has to admit that they were wrong. The only one that has to admit they're wrong is me, for saying that it was the first time that Houston and Sioux Falls had ever met. Maybe I was maybe I was confusing it with another matchup. All right, let's jump into week 2, shall we? We've broken down week 1. Everybody knows who they're playing the first week. Now, who are you playing the second week? For 8 teams still wondering, who are they going to play in the season opener? The home opener. Who are they going to get at home? When are they going to go on the road? Who are they going to have to face in that first tough road game? Well, week 2 starts with this headliner. The Dallas Roughnecks hosts the Houston Hyenas. Houston takes to the road for a second straight week. Dallas is at home for the second straight week. Demond, Houston, and Dallas. Boy, things have been heating up pretty quickly here lately.
It has. Houston and Dallas has had great matchups over the years, and I'm glad that Dallas is back in the West now, so that we can continue having these battles. This is going to be a tough game. Here these two teams knows a lot about each other. I know there was some changes made in the build this offseason, and we're just going to see how it all comes together. And then Dallas is going without a running back, if I'm not mistaken, this season. Is that correct?
Yeah, they have one spot open. Steven was sort of teasing what he was going to do, whether he was going to go without a running back or without even a quarterback, potentially. Who knows? He was talking about gold centers and all sorts of things, trying to keep people guessing. That signing is one of 4 that is still yet to be announced. We've actually filled 191 of the 192 spots in the SFL. Just one more left to fill through the non-user rookie period, due to a lack of free agents available in non-user free agency. So, Houston, Dallas, week 2. Dallas still a bit of a mystery, but that'll be cleared up in the next 24 hours. Okay, next on the week 2 slate. Obviously, we don't know if any of these games are going to be commentated or not. That's all determined on a week-by-week basis as we try to put the best, most attractive matchups on each and every week. Matt South, this is yours. The Baltimore Crabs will head to Carolina, where the Crabs were eliminated by the Skyhawks in Baltimore at the end of last season. Baltimore gets their revenge, and while Andy and Shan are not in Carolina anymore, it is still, I know it is. It's still a great rivalry. Matt, this is going to be your first road game as a member of the Crabs. You're going to Raleigh.
I like this matchup. Again, me and me and Klein are friends, but I'm going to have to say that Baltimore's going to beat them for the simple fact I'm on the team, No, but
oh, man.
At the end of last season, they did put up a good run. Was it 4-0 or 5-0?
Yeah, 4-1, I think Carolina was, yeah. Yeah, they definitely came on strong, knocked Atlanta and Baltimore out on that tiebreaker, so that will be a compelling game. Always good to see Carolina square off with teams like Baltimore and Tallahassee. They have definitely established some credible rivalries there. All right, Dion, what do you think about this? The San Antonio Vaqueros home opener is against the Mexico City Aztecs, as the two teams closest to that United States-Mexico border will square off. What do you think?
Yeah, it's the Battle of the South, Battle of the Tacos.
I mean, you could have gone with Battle of the Alamo there.
Battle of the Alamo, no.
Battle of the Tacos. All right. Taco Tuesdays tomorrow, bud.
No, it's gonna be a good matchup. Ramos, he always got his team ready, and we already know it's interesting to see Greg come out and be able to handle everything all on his own with his new team. It's gonna be like a powerhouse matchup. I know Greg gonna have the defense. His defense is crazy good, and going up against Matt Wilson in Mexico City. Well, I think Wilson's still there. I hadn't even looked at the roster.
Yeah, he is. He is.
Okay. Greg's defense versus Ramos' offense. You can't ask for a better matchup than that. So, Gail Barrett, Ramos, Matt Wilson. It's crazy. Bentley all around. So, I'm interested to see that matchup.
San Antonio already complaining about their schedule, saying that this is not fair in the chat room. So we'll see just how fair or unfair it is as the season progresses. All right, continuing on with week 2, the Queen City Corsairs are heading back to Florida to take on the Tallahassee Pride. It's the Pride's home opener. Their season at the Lions Den begins where it ended last season with the defending champs. Demond, break this one down for us.
I'm lost for words already. With this game here is going to show what Tallahassee is really made of. They can come in and have redemption against Queen City, because Queen City came in and they just straight blew Tallahassee out this game. So I'm pretty sure that T-Pat and Frank over there with Tallahassee is going to have some things cooked up and cooking ready for this game here. But we have to see if Queen City is going to be able to uphold what happened last season in that championship game. Not championship, conference championship game. Yeah.
All right, Matt, we're going Midwest, and it's time to start a new. I think it's going to be a rivalry. I think these two teams are already talking a lot. It's Chicago and St. Louis as the Wildcats open with 2 at home, and St. Louis goes on the road again. What do you think?
It's two newer teams to the league. Chicago, I cannot talk enough about Shan. I mean, he did a great job ending Carolina season last year, and St. Louis they got better throughout the season. So open up with this new season, I think they're both going to be really good teams, and it'll be a really good matchup to watch.
All right. Next up on the Week 2 slate, the Sioux Falls Sparrows at the Alaska Storm. It's Alaska's home opener, and it's a welcoming to the Western Conference for Sioux Falls, as they will take on 2 teams in the first 2 weeks that have that made the playoffs last year. Dion, what do you think?
I feel bad for anybody who has to go to Alaska when we start going into the winter seasons. It's gonna be cold. No, Sioux Falls is a good team. Let's see who they got. It's a lot of kids. Sioux Falls got a lot of rookies. It's gonna be a lot of people that we have no idea what they're capable of. So Alaska, we know they're gonna be good. I mean, I'm still kind of salty they beat us, but hey, we're gonna say that for another conversation later on. But no, this should be a good matchup. 2 great guys as owners and passionate about the SFL, so it should be a good one.
And I'm sure that we will get to that conversation later on in the show, and Demond is just rolling his eyes saying, why do we even have to bring it up right now? We're only talking about Week 2. Sioux Falls and Alaska. Okay, moving through Week 2, the Oklahoma City Renegades are back at home again. Vancouver starts on the road with 2 straight games. They go to Oklahoma City. The Renegades get 2 expansion teams at home in the first 2 weeks. Demond, is that setting them up nicely at the beginning, or is it setting them up to crash and burn at the end?
You asked me, I would say it's both, Cam. It's setting them up in the beginning for to be productive at home, and then it's crashing them in the end, because we all know that in the end, in the SFL, those last few games come to the end of the season are very, very crucial. And those may be games that they can have advantage in if they were playing at home. Speaking of Oklahoma City, that is, yeah.
All right, so the final game of Week 2, the Atlanta Swarm hosts the Cleveland Stallions. Matt, you've got this one.
Man, Cleveland is, a jumpy team. They were in Las Vegas last season.
Jumpy team. That's accurate.
But Atlanta, newer team to the league again. I like all this expansion. Anyways, I can't wait to see, the new coaching staff that Nickens has put in over at Cleveland, and it'll be a good game. Playing at Atlanta, Atlanta's a tough team, so we'll see.
All right, that rounds out the Week 2 slate. Now I'm noticing as we are live on the air, because we do all this live and try to bring you a quality product, that Week 3 is not loaded. I don't have any graphics for Week 3, so we're going to have to fix that here. We're just going to go on the fly. Let me get back into my folder. And we're just going to go in alphabetical order. As we see it, the graph's going to pop up in the top left hand of your corner. The first game of Week 3 we're going to break down is Atlanta and St. Louis. Go ahead, Dion. It's St. Louis's home opener, by the way.
St. Louis home opener. Let's see. So they got Atlanta coming in, battle the Storm. I mean the Swarm. Storm.
Easy
See,
fix.
Atlanta pretty much brought back. They got a lot of inside. They brought 2 inside linebackers. Is that correct? Versus no wide receivers of St. Louis. Every week I'm watching St. Louis. I'm trying to see what they're gonna do, because that's just crazy. No receiver. How you gonna throw the ball?
Yeah, St. Louis is definitely one of those more unique builds, and it's interesting because they were one of the more unique builds last season as well. And we can't forget that St. Louis's home opener is how they finished their season last year by beating Atlanta 16-7 to knock Atlanta out of the playoffs. So I'm sure Atlanta's gonna be still pretty upset about that even in Week 3.
Hey, as long as they put in the work, then I feel like they'll do a good job. But I'm gonna have to get this one to Atlanta just because I'm biased.
All righty, let's take a look at the next game on the sheet for Week 3. We're starting in the Eastern Conference. Boys, this one is a good one. Baltimore at Queen City. It's always fun watching these two teams get together. Demond, this one's yours.
You said Baltimore, Queen City, right?
I did.
Oh yeah. I would take Baltimore in this one here, due to the fact that they picked up Matty Ice.
That's right.
You're just kissing up to the panel now.
No, not really. No, not at all. But this is gonna be a great matchup, man. These two teams here always match up great and well against each other. They know each other very well. These are one of the two oldest teams in the league. They've been around for quite a few times and had quite a few matchups. So this is going to be an awesome one right here. We're going to see if Queen City is going to come out and have that championship fire as they have the past few years, and see if Baltimore will be hungry enough to come out and take a victory, and steal this one away from Queen City.
Queen City, 2 of the first 3 on at home, or is it first 3?
2 of the first 3 at home. Yeah. Week 1
Okay.
opening night against St. Louis, and then they turn around and get Baltimore. So that's 2 teams that didn't make the playoffs at home in the first 3 weeks. The defending champs. Pretty.
It's a nice way to set them up for a possible conference championship if they take care of business.
Baltimore was competing. Baltimore was competing at the end of the season.
Oh, you're right, but they didn't make it. That's I'm just
a little
saying.
fishy.
Sounds a little fishy. How? What do you mean?
I mean,
That
I
they
can
have
taste
such
your
an easy
salt
start.
from here.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, it's very salty.
All right. Continuing on with week 3. Next on the list, the Cleveland Stallions, their home opener. It's against the Carolina Skyhawks as finally the SFL comes back to Cleveland a second time. Who are we on? I think we're on Dion Hawkins.
Yeah, it's simply a game of what's gonna run out, either the run, pound the rock with the Johnny English, or the pass, throwing it all over the field with Wavy and Escobar. Whichever one stops, the other one's the one that's gonna win the game, because he's gonna be 2 high-powered offenses battling back and forth. So it's gonna be a slow pace versus a fast one with Cleveland. So I think the pass might win out.
Yeah, Johnny English playing once again against his creator, I guess you could say, in Ronnie, since English started with the Dallas Stars way back in season 1. All right, final game of week 3, and gentlemen, I honestly think this may be the best matchup of the week. It is the Chicago Wildcats at the Tallahassee Pride. E.T. King and A.J. Barnes go back to Tallahassee. Demond, what do you think?
A.T. King going back to Tallahassee. That should be the headline of the week right there. That's because we're going to be able to see if E.T. King is able to flourish in a completely, totally different offensive system than what he had, and which was a quarterback favorite system down in Tallahassee. We all know what T-Pat has done up in Minneapolis, with the quarterbacks he had with Marconi and so forth or whatnot. So, like I say, we'll be able to see if E.T. King can flourish in the Chicago offense. I mean, he has some help in the backfield there, Dion Hawkins.
Chicago and Tallahassee being deemed the battle of the cats in the chat room, and I would have to agree. That's a breakdown of the Eastern Conference in week 3. Let's take a look at the Western Conference. Again, did not somehow get these loaded up, so we're going just in order from left to right on my spreadsheet. So continuing on week 3, first game of the Western Conference. It's a good one. The Vancouver Legion home opener. They host Western Conference regional rivals, the Alaska Storm. Matt, break this one down.
Vancouver, new team in the league. I know I say this a lot, guys. And you guys, they're beating me up in the chat room for it, saying they're a bunch of cupcake teams. But Max, Max Fall is an established guy, and I can't express enough that he, 2 seasons, he did a great job with Baltimore's defense, and just a great matchup because I think Andy's going to have his hands full with this one.
OBS is killing me, disappearing these graphics when they're not supposed to initially, but we're making it work. All right, so Vancouver hosting Alaska in week 3. Next
Alaska
up,
doesn't have far to travel, at least for that one.
No, they don't. And that's about the only road game that Alaska.
That's exactly it.
does not have to spend an arm and a leg traveling for. So that definitely helps their travel budget. Next on the Western Conference slate for Week 3, it's a classic, Oklahoma City at Dallas. We have seen this matchup time and time again produce some tremendous results. Oklahoma City a couple seasons ago won at Dallas to kick off the season. In fact, I think that may have happened last season, if I remember. Dion, two teams that were close to Houston last season that you're very familiar with. What do you think of this Week 3 matchup? It's Dallas's third straight home game.
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with both these teams, as I live probably about an hour away from one and a few hours from the other one. I think it's gonna be the key for Oklahoma City is if they can get the tight end Bovine. If they can get him, he's a beast, he's a monster. If they get him consistently involved, then they shouldn't have no problem throwing it all down the field. Dallas, considering they went to the Western Conference Championship last year, they're a complete mystery. We don't know half of their team. We don't know they don't have Wavy anymore, or who's gonna step up. What kind of quarterback are they gonna have? Is he gonna be a scrambler, just throw it all over the field? So this is a mystery. Can they get Bovine involved, and can Dallas get anybody involved? So, but they two good owners. They know what they're doing, so it should be a great game.
So far in the Western Conference, Alaska at Vancouver, Oklahoma City at Dallas. Who is next? Demond? What do we have here? Who has not played this week? There are two teams out there, I think people. Oh, yeah. It's Houston's home opener against San Antonio. Demond, you get to welcome Greg Corky back to your house.
He gets to come back to the doghouse.
Going back.
Hey, looking forward to it, man. I'm most definitely looking forward to this game. It should be a great one. Greg's going to bring that great defense that he has, and it's going to be a game of chess where two players know each other very well. So, I know what Greg likes to do on defense. He knows what I like to do on offense. So this one here is going to be a great chess match.
Everybody this was the sexy pick for Week 1 or opening night or everything that everyone was guessing. Demond, we made y'all wait a few weeks, get a couple games under your belt before y'all had to kill each other.
Yeah. I really would have loved it. It would have been. I take it Week 3 as well.
All right. One last game left in week number 3, and it's the two teams that we have not called a game out for at this point, and it is Sioux Falls at Mexico City. Matt South, this is a game that Sioux Falls and Mexico City are fairly familiar with each other. They played that great classic game back in the last week of a couple seasons ago. I remember that Andy was calling, or actually, yeah, that was a couple seasons ago. I was unable to call that final game of the regular season, and it was definitely a classic, and we love watching these two formidable opponents go up against each other. What do you think of this matchup, Matt?
I like this matchup. I see that Sioux Falls has went away from their build from last season from only having 2 offensive players. Now they have a lot more offensive weapons instead of, just a defensive powerhouse. But, Mexico City is always a strong team, so without all these defensive weapons, I'd like to see how Sioux Falls handles them.
All right, so we've broken down the first 3 weeks. We're going to go a little bit quicker through the schedule now because once you get past week 3, storylines start to become a little bit less valuable, and it's more about some key matchups, some pivotal games that you guys may see as being a big part of the playoff picture, or just an interesting note or tidbit that you see out of the schedule. So we're going to break down each week by the entire week, and each analyst is going to give their thoughts on it. Before we do that, Curtis, anything you'd like to add through the first 3 weeks of the season?
I was taking a look at week 2, that Chicago-St. Louis matchup. Biggest thing about that is it's more of a geographical rivalry. The fact that they are so close, probably within 3 to 4 hours of each other, makes it so they can be very, very familiar with each other. And as St. Louis, no receivers to throw to, that's going to be the big key, and we're going to see how that works out within the first couple of weeks. The biggest thing for me is how often are they going to include the tight ends, and what kind of stress are they going to put on their running game? That's going to be the storyline to follow there.
Hashtag bus trip. Curtis, I don't want to put you in a bind. Would you like more airtime or?
Oh, you're good. This is perfect.
Okay.
This is perfect. Yep.
All right. I don't want to be silencing our.
I'm not as familiar yet.
Okay. All right. Good
We'll
deal.
get
I'm picking my spots correctly. All right. Let's take a look at Week 4, gentlemen. The headliner game is Alaska, Mexico City. This matchup produced 2 excellent games last season, and you can see the full slate there that will be on Rabbit YouTube July 30th through August 1st. Roughly, you've also got Chicago going to Baltimore, so Shan taking his new squad back to where he secured his playoff berth. You also have Dallas and San Antonio, another Texas game, Tallahassee, Carolina, and others. To each of you, what stands out in Week 4? We'll start with you, Demond.
What stands out to me Week 4, man, is this game here. Alaska and Mexico City. These guys had a nice game last season, and just looking forward to see whether the type of production is going to come out this year. Within it. Ramos Lane has totally changed his build. He went from a gold quarterback to a bronze quarterback, and from a bronze running back to a gold running back. That's something that he has never had, which was a gold running back. So I'm looking forward to see what type of production or what he's going to do with that player in this league, in his offense. So I'm going to look forward to that. And you know that Alaska is going to have a beast of a running game as well.
Matt, Demond took the easy one, Alaska, Mexico City. Which one sticks out to you?
One that sticks out to me is Carolina at Tallahassee. That was a big game last season.
Or the reverse.
Well, yeah. Huge game last season. Big rivalry, and Tallahassee, new, revamped. I'd like to see how they come out and handle Carolina.
All right, Dion, what else looks good on this Week 4 slate?
I actually have 2 for mine.
All right.
The first one is Chicago versus Baltimore. The reason is because the star running back for Baltimore, Sanzo Robinson, and for people that know, he's one of my best friends. He lives literally less than a mile from me. So me being a running back and him being a running back, we probably gonna be watching it together, talking, giving each other crap while the game's going on. But that one, and also Vancouver going to Houston for the fact of I know Andy, he gonna have his team ready. They got a lot of new guys, a lot of rookies, but Andy is a great planner. And also Corey Jones going back to Houston. He was the third receiver. He's stepping up and becoming a bigger part of our offense. So him coming back and playing against the Hyenas, that should be a big one.
And he's really the veteran leader on that squad.
Right. Second-year player.
Yep.
He's a veteran.
Hey, he's a veteran in this league. If you ain't a rookie, you are a veteran around here.
It's true.
And yeah, that is pretty interesting and compelling. Good stuff, guys. All right, that's a look at Week 4. Now let's take a look at Week 5, headlined by Carolina and Chicago. It's the first time Shan Varner will take on his former boss man, James Klein. San Antonio goes to Vancouver. It's the first time 2 expansion teams will meet this season. Baltimore plays Cleveland in the Commissioner's Cup. Tim Johnston, the current commissioner of CAG, and Ronnie Nickens, a former Sim football commissioner in his own right. Dallas also goes to Alaska for the first time. It's the second time in 5 weeks Dallas and Alaska will face each other. And there's plenty of other games on the schedule of note. Matt, we'll start with you. Which one you want to talk about?
I'm going to go with the Western Conference matchup this time. And, Demond, this one's for you, buddy. You guys have – we're going Week 4. Oh, sorry. I was reading the wrong week. Never mind. I'll go with Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City at Sioux Falls. It's going to really –
Wrong again.
Wrong again?
Correct. Wrong again.
Wait. What?
If it helps, put the stream on.
Yeah. Do I need to cut
Oh,
your
with that.
crust off your sandwich, Matt?
Well, while he sorted himself out, I'll jump in with one.
Okay, go ahead, Curtis.
All right. Queen City and St. Louis. If I do remember correctly, they play week 1
That's right.
and now week 4 or week 5, I should say. So taking a look, this will be a good chance for St. Louis. I think Queen City has that game in the bag in week 1. Good chance for St. Louis to prepare. Now they have Queen City on their terms and can possibly upset the Corsairs.
And St. Louis gets Queen City twice before Queen City decides that they'd like to play some ball. As we all know that Queen City gets hot late in the season. You don't want to be on Queen City's schedule the last 4 weeks of the season, no doubt about that. Matt, have we figured some things out? You want me to go through each game of week 5?
Actually, I was right the first time around. Houston plays Sioux Falls 2 times in 5 weeks, and I think that'll be a pace setter for Houston. How they do against Sioux Falls twice is really going to set the tone for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's interesting how the schedule played out. There are 3 matchups of teams that play in week 1 and in week 5. I'm not sure how that happened, but it did. Dion, what stands out to you in week 5?
Yeah, I'm going to take the easy way out this week on week 5, so I'm going to go with Carolina and Chicago, all for the simple fact that I know Shan and especially Maurice, they're going to be jacked up for this game. So I know I'm a big part of the offensive coordinator, but for this game week, I'm going to probably just let Shan do everything. I'm going to just let him do his thing because I know he's going to be jacked up for that one. So that should be a good game, great game. It's going to should be a big rivalry, and I know they're going to want that win.
Got the
by
inside
numerous touchdowns.
got the inside scoop over there in Chicago. Demond, what looks good in week 5?
To me, I'm going with Tallahassee and Atlanta. 2 high-powered teams. Well, at least Atlanta started off hot last season, putting up nice points, per game. So I'm going to see how Atlanta, starts off this season here. See if they can continue that and stay hot. And they're going to have a tough matchup against Tallahassee. These 2 teams, they had some good games last season, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, they had some fun games. Tallahassee was fun. In Tallahassee, it was a little closer. It was a primetime game with Andy on the call. Tallahassee pulled away late, and then that game late in the season in Atlanta, the Swarm just crushed Tallahassee. And that was at the time when we thought Tallahassee was going downhill, and then they bounced back with that Queen City win and blew out Carolina. And yeah, Atlanta was the first signs of trouble for Tallahassee late last season, and they'll get the pride earlier on at home this year in week 5. All right, let's take a look at week 6, headlined by Mexico City at Sioux Falls. It's the second time that those 2 teams will square off, the second time in 4 weeks. A schedule note, there are no times anywhere in the schedule where a team plays each other either back-to-back or twice in 3 weeks. There are a handful of occasions where teams will play each other twice in 4 weeks. Mexico City and Sioux Falls is one of those matchups. Also on the schedule in week 6, Baltimore goes to Atlanta. We all remember what happened in week 1 when Baltimore went into Atlanta and the Swarm stunned them there in week 1. Alaska goes to Houston, so not to Alaska, but to Houston. I'm sure the Hyena fans want a piece of Alex Dominguez, and he probably has enough pieces for everybody. St. Louis at Tallahassee as well, as the Gladiators once again contend with a big boy in the Eastern Conference. Demond,
if you guys are okay, I'd like to jump in on the first one.
Go ahead, Curtis.
Perfect. Alaska and Houston. This is one of the playoff matches from last season that I watched to its entirety, competitive all the way through. A lot of fun to watch, and it was in Alaska. And so now that Houston, they have Alaska coming to their turf. It's hot weather. It is a really riled up Hyenas crowd after last season, and would love to see what Alaska can bring to the table in retaliation to that.
Yeah, you in your newness to the league. I suggested that game to go back and watch. Did you get a chance to witness any other compelling games from last year so far?
Some other ones I basically went through bits and pieces of the playoffs. That one I wanted to watch in its entirety and was able to, but I'm still kind of working through, kind of educating myself on where the league has been and can, go from there. But that one's one that I had kind of circled it all the way through.
Will it be in the top 9 games of SFL history? You can find out later this month. We're going to have, in celebration of Season 9, 9 consecutive nights of the greatest games in league history. Over 400 games whittled down to 9, and we hope to celebrate that with you sometime in mid-June to try to get the juices flowing for the SFL. And I believe that marathon starts the day after playbooks are due. So while owners and coaches are sitting around waiting for the season to start, they can enjoy some great action. All right, Demond, Alaska, Houston broken down. What else looks good in Week 6?
Just want to piggyback on Curtis. It was great to watch in your eyes, but
yeah,
but not mine. So I'm just gonna leave that one as that.
I do not envy you, sir, but
but I'm gonna go ahead and take on the on this one here. I'm gonna go with the Baltimore Crabs and Atlanta Swarm game. Baltimore, man, pretty much laid in a goose egg. That game against Atlanta. I guess that Baltimore didn't come in and take Atlanta pretty serious that first game of the season last year, when Atlanta put up all those points on them, and they pretty much just shocked the entire league. But I'm looking forward to that and see how TJ is going to respond to that butt whooping that he took from Atlanta.
And responding to the fact that they didn't get it done last season and shockingly missed the playoffs and just sort of collapse in the second half of that year. I don't think we're ever going to see that again. Matt, Week 6, what's the game you're looking for?
St. Louis at Tallahassee. I'm right.
Yes, you're correct.
Now, I'm not sure on this stat, but St. Louis is the only team that plays with – well, not the only team. Anyways, they play with 3 teams last year that got into the playoffs. They play – how do I say this?
I think I know what you're saying. 3 of their first 6 games are against playoff teams.
Yes.
So, yeah.
With that being said, Chicago as an expansion team, Atlanta was a really good team to start out the year last season. And then Cleveland, they're Cleveland. But St. Louis playing Tallahassee, this is going to be another key game for St. Louis and how their season is going to go. This is midway point in the season. If they can show Tallahassee what's up, I mean, you're in the final stretch, and they might be competing for a championship.
It could be a statement game for St. Louis on the road against the East Power. Dion, Week 6, what you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go Cleveland and Carolina because of one guy, Rick O'Reilly. He's moved from D tackle to D end. Can you just imagine 6'6", 330, Rick O'Reilly meeting in the hole with Johnny English in Carolina?
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to just be waiting for them to just go head up all game. So that's the only reason why I'm picking that matchup, just to see them which one can knock each other's head off in the hole.
I have heard, and right now it's just a rumor, I have heard Rick O'Reilly has slimmed down a little bit in that move to DN. So that's going to be interesting. Obviously, the owners approved a new rule this year that you can add or drop 20 pounds a season on any given player. So we'll have to see if Rick O'Reilly looks like he's been hitting the gym. So that'll be compelling to see as well. All right, enough of Week 6. Let's take a look at Week 7, the back half of the season. Now things are getting interesting. St. Louis at Baltimore. James Richards was a scout for the Crabs last season. Goes back to Baltimore to take on Tim Johnston. That is the spotlight game for August 20th through the 22nd. Elsewhere on the schedule, Sioux Falls and Dallas. That's always a good matchup. Atlanta is at Chicago. San Antonio is back in Mexico, or is actually in Mexico for the first time, to take on the Aztecs in their second meeting in the first 7 weeks. We start this time with Matt. Go ahead.
I'm going to go with the Dallas and Sioux Falls matchup. Two tough teams. Dallas competed last year they competed last year for a title. Sioux Falls, they were also in the playoffs. It's going to be a great game, and I'm looking for Sioux Falls to get their revenge.
All right, Dion, what stands out?
I'm gonna go with San Antonio, Mexico City. Just for the fact that once again they close, and I'm kind of doing any, meeny, miny, mo because I don't know which one to do, so I'm going with that one.
Demond?
Brutal honesty.
I mean,
I'm
that's top quality analysis. Let's be honest.
I like the Skyhawks and Corsairs matchup this week. I just really like Johnny English, man. That's a real big dude. Game. Let's just see if going into this game, if Carolina is going to continue to go with a run heavy offense this year as they have in years past, or would they pretty much try to go balance, or would they go more of a pass heavy offense? To my understanding, Queen City is coming back with the no cornerbacks again. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah. So let's see if the Corsairs can continue to go that route with that type of build, going against a team like Carolina that has multiple weapons on their team. They have a bronze receiver and 2 silver receivers. Let's see how those generic cornerbacks do well against those type of playmakers.
Couple of points. This is Dallas's 5th home game in the first 7 weeks, which means that they're backloaded with road games this year. And to the Walking Greg's point of, can San Antonio get a bye week in there somewhere? Well, bye weeks are a thing of the past. Now that the league has gone back to 16 teams, it's 8 games a week. You have no buys. If the SFL wasn't hard enough, now you get no breaks, no mercy.
No soup for you. You come back 1 year.
Dude, Curtis, I'm telling you, man. If I don't get 1 impression a quarter on these called games, I'm gonna be furious.
I'll do what I can.
So there's some tidbits from week 7. Did I get everybody? Did everybody get a game in for week 7?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That wanted one? Curtis, any thoughts?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
All right, week 8. We're getting down to crunch time here. It's spotlighted by Vancouver and Alaska. The second time these Northwest regional rivals will square off, August 27th through the 29th. Also on the schedule, Tallahassee goes to Queen City. Dallas is at Mexico City. It's their only meeting of the year. And Carolina goes to Baltimore, among other games. We start with Dion. What do you like in week 8?
I'm going to go with... Is that on there twice?
What's that? Maybe I made a mistake.
No, I was looking at it wrong. I'm going to go with Houston at Oklahoma City. Fact that I want to see Houston's new offense. Like, I'm really interested to see. Houston lost so many people last year. But I know Demond, he's a great owner. It doesn't matter. He's going to plug and play whoever it is. But I want to see the fact that, are they going to show up? Are the people going to be there? And they just going right down the road to Oklahoma City. So if they miss that game, then they got their priorities messed up.
Houston and Oklahoma City, that's also the only time they meet this year, and Houston goes to Oklahoma City for the first time in 3 seasons. Demond, that's your squad. What else looks good in week 8?
Week 8, you got I want to say Dallas and Mexico. I'm still puzzled with Dallas's offense, man. I wonder if they're going to go with another high powering pass game as they did last season, or would they, shock the world and go with a running game this season? We just don't know what's going on with Dallas right now. It's crazy. Steve, get it together, man. Come on.
Steven's probably wringing his hands together going, oh, I got it together. Yeah. Just you wait and see. And, of course, last season, Dallas and Mexico City produced one of the best games of the year when Dallas went for 4th down at the end of each half and converted those drives into 10 points, and that was basically the difference. Pretty ballsy from Mac Wavy Jr. and the rest of that former Roughneck offense. All right, Matt, what looks good in week 8?
Week 8, I'm going to take the Baltimore and Carolina matchup. Baltimore plays Carolina in week 2. Baltimore plays in Carolina in week 2. They'll already have their revenge game, I guess you could say, from putting them out of the playoffs last year. Something tells me this one's going to have some say-so in who gets in the playoffs this year. So I'm looking forward to this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, that's a look at Week 8. Let's take a look now at Week 9, spotlighted by Cleveland and Queen City. It's two owners that have been in the SFL since Season 1, and it's a rematch of the first ever SFL game. Both of these teams had different identities at the time. Ronnie Nickens was the Dallas Stars, and Eric Barkley was the New York Knights. But those two teams played in the first ever SFL game, and 4.5 years later, the two meet again, and this time in Buffalo. So that's the spotlight game in Week 9. Dallas is at Houston, the second of two meetings between those two. Baltimore goes to Chicago. Mexico City is at Vancouver. That game is on Labor Day weekend in Canada. And to note, the BC Lions of the Canadian Football League are the only team to not play on Labor Day weekend. So we wanted to give Vancouver fans a big rivalry game to get hyped up for. That and others a part of the Week 9 slate. DR, what stands out to you?
Dallas and Houston stands out to me this week here, man. It's going to be another great matchup between the Texas Triangle. We all know what happened last season. Houston, beat Dallas. The first game that they matched up against with
Who competed for the title, Demond?
Huh?
Who competed for the title?
Hey, man, I was going to get there. Come on, Matty Ice. My heart is already a little salty about all this. But anyway, Houston beat Dallas. Dallas came back and beat Houston, in the second game, and then, Houston fell off in the playoffs. So let's go to see, how this rivalry between these two teams continue to go here in that Texas Triangle.
Awesome in the chat from Baltimore. Baltimore hates Chicago already. Bunch of shady characters over there. You want to respond, Dion?
Okay, yeah. I think in that case, I'm gonna pick the Baltimore versus Chicago. Considering now that statement has been made, we don't even care about the other games. We ready for this one already. It was all fun and love, but now this is gonna be a chippy game. We punching on the bottom of the pile. We're twisting toes back. And I think we might have to bring out the retro jerseys just because it's going to be 1965 NFL punch each other in the mouth type of football game.
Matt, what looks good in Week 9 besides ball punching at the bottom of the pile?
Oh, man. I'm going to have to say Sioux Falls and Oklahoma City. Sioux Falls finished up there as far as standings go, and then Oklahoma City, they're lower, I guess, if you could say. Sioux Falls finished last season at 8-4. Oklahoma City finished at 4-8. I'd like to see how they come at each other this year with their games. Do they play each other earlier in the season?
Yeah, they do. Oklahoma City goes to Sioux Falls in Week 4, and Oklahoma, that will actually be the third straight trip for the Renegades to Sioux Falls without Sioux Falls going to Oklahoma. So this is the first time in quite some time that the Sparrows actually have to travel to take on the Renegades at home. OKC, a much tougher team at home. And, of course, the last time we saw those two teams on the field, that was the game where Oklahoma City missed all the field goals and the extra points and somehow did not win that game against the Sparrows. Curtis, anything to add over the last 2 weeks?
got one for you.
Right.
Actually, from this week that you were talking about, you kind of alluded to it. BC Lions not playing in the CFL. Mexico City travels to Vancouver. These two played each other week 1 of this coming season, and now we get to see Mexico City, how they fare in cold weather. So it should be interesting to see how Vancouver, and the fact that you're the Legion being an expansion roster, see how they respond on their home turf to a Mexico City squad that will be hungry for a win.
All right, that's a look at Week 9. Now to Week 10, spotlighted by Houston at Alaska. The Hyenas return in a pressure-packed situation. 3 weeks before the playoffs begin, Houston tries to conquer their demons. Other games on the schedule, Chicago at Carolina. Shan Varner goes back to Carolina for the first time. San Antonio is at Dallas. Baltimore at Tallahassee, among other matchups. Matt, we'll start with you.
Let's see. Week 11, you got Baltimore at
10.
Tallahassee. Week 10. God, I'm sorry. The spreadsheet you sent me where it has, you got your 11th row. It has week 10 beside it.
Yeah.
That's really messing with me.
Challenging.
Week 10. Yeah. Baltimore at Tallahassee. That's going to be a good game. Two always good teams. I'm going to take Baltimore, of course. They got Matty Ice, like Demond said. Tallahassee was a really good team last season. Even though Baltimore didn't make the playoffs, they were competing until the very end. Tallahassee opened the season up, 7-0 last year? 8-0?
Yeah, it was something up there. It was a pretty good record.
But, I like to see how Baltimore handles them, or how we handle them. I shouldn't say Baltimore. But this is the second time we play them. We play them in week 1, play them again in week 10 to end out our season. We have a tough end of the year season. We play two very good teams out of our last 3 weeks. We play Tallahassee, then we play Cleveland, then we play Queen City. So it'll be tough last 3 weeks.
Spoiler alert. Thank you, Matt. By the way, did you just refer to yourself by your nickname in the third person? I don't think I've ever heard that before. Dion, take it away.
Well, everybody knows how I feel about the Houston and Alaska, so I'm not even going to touch that one with a 20-foot pole. I'm going to go with Atlanta versus Queen City. I'm looking over the rosters, and Atlanta receivers, the smallest one is 6'4". They're freaking huge. You got two Megatrons over there. Versus Queen Cities, I don't think they have any corners. Let me make sure. So are they just going to be throwing bombs all game? That's what I'm interested in to see. That should be a good matchup. Either way, Queen City, with no players, they'll still find a way to win a championship. So I'm interested to see that.
Yeah, it's also a Qantas shine. Mark Chisholm going back to Queen City. He went
Right.
back last season, and Queen City got the victory. That game was also late, and now we're starting to talk about Queen City's time where they start getting going. All right, Demond, do you want to touch this Houston, Alaska business?
Looking forward to it. It's going to be hot this time around. So there should be no excuses. It should be a whole lot warmer, North Americans, Northwest. But yeah, so looking forward to this game here, man. We changed our defense a whole lot, so we look completely different on defense. So we're looking to make some noise on the defensive side of the ball and stop quite a few teams that run the ball pretty well. Pretty much was our focus this year coming in was pretty much stop the run. We already know that we can stop the pass.
I got to read this on the air. DeAndre Noel, our YouTube recapper, who prefers to be just a fan, and we're all right with that, says Alaska versus Houston. Who could forget that 21-point comeback the Storm had that killed the Hyenas' chance of an all-Texas Western Conference championship game last season? Boy, he is just
he'd be on it. His stuff be right on point. Yes.
People are gonna keep reminding you, Demond, until you shut them up. So week 10, we're gonna see what Cody Cantrell and the rest of the Hyenas are made of. All right, moving on.
That game.
Just think,
Man.
one thing before we move on. Just think, if Houston would have won that game, 3 teams probably would look totally different.
How do you figure?
Because I'm sure I wouldn't have left if I would have been a repeat champion. I'm sure Rockefeller might not have left if he would have been trying to retain the title. So just that one tackle altered multiple teams across the SFL. If DR Sim would have scored on that touchdown, I'm pretty sure I'll still be a Houston Hyena.
Because you think you guys
was it just that one tackle though, or was it the entire comeback?
The entire comeback, but
yeah,
going to the very last.
The comeback led to that. Come on now.
You think y'all would have gone into Dallas and taken care of business? No sweat.
Of course, I think I'm gonna win every game. I think we're going undefeated. So that's just me. I'm just like uber confident. We could be 0-12 if we got a 13th game. I think we're gonna win it by 50.
Oh, somebody smack him in the mouth. Somebody do it. It ain't gonna be me. You ain't gonna find my commentating button on the field, but just somebody do it.
Oh my goodness gracious! All right, before we all kill each other virtually, week 11 is headlined by Tallahassee at St. Louis. This could be the moment. This could be the moment for St. Louis. And Tallahassee struggled a little bit late last season. St. Louis was on the rise late last season, but these two teams look totally different. Thomas Paternitti is not involved with the coaching staff of Tallahassee this season. Obviously, St. Louis has the biggest staff in the SFL as it stands today. So, is Frank Gooden gonna bring his new group of boys into St. Louis, or by this time will St. Louis have flipped the tables on Tallahassee and actually have the better record coming into that matchup? That may be a debate for another day. But Mexico City is also going to Houston. That's the only meeting between the two squads, and it happens in Week 11. Queen City is at Chicago. Alaska is at Sioux Falls, among others. Matt, go ahead and start us with Week 11.
Week 11. I like a Queen City-Chicago matchup. I can't talk enough about last season for Shan. Shan finished out the season 4-1, plays Queen City. This will be a good game. Something tells me it's going to have some playoff implications for Chicago and Queen City.
And he was the only one to slow down Queen City last year, and that was late in the year too.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets some late in the year again. Dion, what you looking at?
I'm gonna go with Tallahassee, St. Louis. Christensen. I'm excited to hear you say that name about 30 times during the game.
Christian Christensen. I already got it.
Easy.
Well, yeah, him, Tallahassee being a powerhouse team versus the still fairly new concept of St. Louis. Yeah, I'm excited to see that game, and I like Budweiser, so I like their stadium over there.
All right, Demond, what's looking frosty?
For me, I'm gonna go with Vancouver versus Vaqueros. See what Corky got and Andy got too.
Is that how Greg says his team name?
Yes, Vaqueros.
And how do you say Hyenas?
I say Hyenas. Max, wait, I mean not Max, but Mighty is the one that say Hyenas.
Are you sure?
But I say it the same way. I don't know. Maybe so.
All right. Anyway, Vancouver, San Antonio, two expansion teams. Go ahead. Continue. Go ahead. I cut you off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you did. You just totally discombobulated me, dude. Just. But no, I'm looking forward to this matchup here to see what these two expansion teams are going to do. Both of them came in as coordinators, and we're going to see how they, do on the field as head coaches and owners, and see if they're ready for the big boys.
All right, Week 12, the last week of the regular season. What are the matchups that could make or break playoff hopes? Spotlighted by Houston at San Antonio. This Week 12 falls into September 24th through 26th. Also have Queen City at Baltimore, Mexico City at Alaska, Carolina at Tallahassee. Tons of good matchups on the schedule. Dion, which game do you think is going to matter the most in Week 12?
I'm going to say the main one, Houston and San Antonio, just for the fact that the West is crazy close. It's going to be interesting to see how the new West teams stack up against, because the West is so even as far as the depth and how good the offenses are, that it's going to be hard for them to consistently win games since they got to play most of them twice. So I know there's probably only going to be a one-game difference when it comes down to the last week. So I know that's going to be a big one.
All right, Demond, which game on this schedule will matter the most to the playoffs?
I would say Chicago and St. Louis. I believe St. Louis is going to make some noise this year. And Chicago looks pretty has a lot of depth over there as well. Great players that went over there. Dion Hawkins that came over from Houston, along with Kanye Rockefeller, and they have some extra pieces as well. So I think this game here is going to be a great one for the week, leading into the playoffs.
All right, Matt. Same question to you.
I feel like I've been doing this a lot, but Queen City at Baltimore, two good teams in the Eastern Conference. It'll definitely have some playoff implications for this Week 12 matchup.
Oh, that Week 12 is going to be a fun one. I can see it now. All right. We've broken down all 12 weeks of the SFL schedule, but now we've got some team schedules to get to. In the chat room, the first person to tell me who they want us to analyze first will get it first.
Well, I could already have Baltimore typed out by
Yep, Baltimore's it.
Little bit of delay. There it is. The Baltimore Crabs. That's who we're going to break down first. Here is their team schedule, and we get to look at it finally here on our screen all at once. The schedule goes 1 through 6 is on the left column, and 7 through 12 is on the right column. So don't read left to right one line at a time. Read the left side and then the right side to see the schedule in order. Baltimore plays 4 of their first 6 on the road, has 4 road games in 5 dates between week 2 and week 6. Matt, you want to break down your team's schedule, see how it looks in your opinion?
It looks tough. We open up with Tallahassee. We play Queen City in the 3rd week. Then we play Chicago in the 4th week in Baltimore. Thankfully, I'm glad we open up the season at home, and then we'll end the season at home versus Queen City.
You guys actually, your first 5 games are really going to be a really tough story.
Mm-hmm.
It's really going to determine where you guys go for the season, in my opinion.
I completely agree. Opening up the season with Tallahassee. We all seen what they did last season. Mm-hmm. How many points did they drop in their first game last season? 50 something. I mean, and we also had the Atlanta drop however many points on Baltimore in the first game of last season. So as long as we come out strong, not like we did last season, I think we'll be able to handle Tallahassee, but it's a tough season ahead for us for sure.
Cleveland a couple seasons ago went to Baltimore late in the season and stole a game. Elliott Snyder fumbled inside the 10-yard line. I remember that pretty well. It was a shocking loss for the Crabs at the time. Maybe Cleveland's got some more late season magic there. A couple of tough road games at Chicago and at Tallahassee, but you do start and end the season at home. Okay, I'm going to make people work in the chat tonight. I know everyone's been typing out the teams they want to see, but I'm going to reset it. We're resetting again. Who wants to see their team next? Broken down here on the Schedule Release Show, live on YouTube, posted in the chat, and that's who we're going to take next. Again, one last look at the Baltimore Crabs schedule. Missing the playoffs for the first time in
Chicago.
5 seasons. Yeah, you're right. Chicago is the next team. Oh man, Andy finished second again. Got to get that league. Yeah, he got to be ready to go with that anarchy. All right, we'll see if Vancouver gets in after Chicago, but Chicago is next on our list, and we are lucky to have Chicago in here on the broadcast with us. Dion Hawkins, the running back and OC of the team, gets 2 games at home to start the year. Has a pretty balanced schedule after the 2 home and 2 road games, and has St. Louis twice, but way at the beginning and way at the end of the season. Dion, what do you think of Chicago's schedule?
I like our schedule. Us being a new team with an asterisk. Remember that asterisk? I like us opening up at home. It gives us a chance to set the tone for the season. If we can come out, it's tough games. I mean, none of these teams are any cakewalk anymore. The SFL is so close each game, and it's crazy. But it gives us a chance to set the tone of what type of team we want to be. If we come out and just stick to our how am I trying to say? If we come out and stick to our game plan, then I feel like we can win both of those games and set the tone for establishing a footprint in the SFL. The staff, the players and the staff that we came together this whole offseason trying to work with, everybody's active. We growing close as a team. So each week, we're not looking past anybody. We're looking at Cleveland like they won the last 6 championships. We already started now since we can see the people that they're going to have. And as far as the schedule as a whole, it's going to be really tough. But I'm excited for it, and I'm ready to go. I'm glad that we got 2 home games to start, though, because Tallahassee, Baltimore on the road, that's going to be crazy back-to-back.
Really interesting note to Chicago's schedule. St. Louis, Carolina, Baltimore, Cleveland, Atlanta. 5 of their last 6 opponents did not make the playoffs last year. So Chicago's the meat, I guess, would be at the front end of that schedule. Just going by last year, which is not necessarily the smartest thing to do, but it's all that we have. So there you have it. All right, here we go again in the chat. Who do we want to see next? We've broken down Baltimore. We've broken down Chicago. And by the way, we do not have team schedules ready for OKC, Dallas, or Cleveland. Just based off of time constraints and number of user players, we'll get those graphics done ASAP following the show. And obviously we can break those down on a post-game call, time permitting, if we have an opportunity. So, what did you see first, Curtis? Because I looked away from my screen.
I actually did not see it.
I think St. Louis.
St. Louis, yeah.
Yeah, St. Louis.
Feels
Dwayne,
Andy Hamilton, man.
What's that?
Feels Andy Hamilton, man. Sorry, dude.
Oh yeah. No, Andy's gonna get it. He's gonna. I know that Vancouver's represented tonight. All right, let's get to St. Louis and a breakdown of the Gladiators. The Gladiators won 2 of their last 3 games to end the season last year. They start with 2 on the road, but then have 3 straight at home. They also end the season with 2 games at home against Tallahassee and Chicago. Demond, as you look at St. Louis's schedule, where's the tough challenge in there?
The tough challenge with St. Louis will have to come from, I would say, Queen City, being the the returning champs, from the previous season. That's the one that I would go with there. Just have to see how they do, this season with their new build or whatnot. See if they're able to come to compete. Tallahassee's going to bring some noise. I know for sure that Chicago will. It's. I just don't know what to say. I mean, just the East looked pretty tough this season.
Yeah, the East is I think definitely growing up. With Chicago coming in, with Cleveland getting a new coaching staff. I'm sure Atlanta will be on the rise. Baltimore, they're going to bounce back with a vengeance. So both just everywhere across the league is fierce. St. Louis, to note, the only team in the league that got saddled with a 3-game road trip.
Yeah.
Week 6 through 8 at Tallahassee, at Baltimore, at Atlanta. They are the unfortunate ones, as there was just no way to avoid it, even though we tried our best to do so across the league. But they get 3 straight home games just before that, if that's any consolation. All right, I think we're gonna have to do Vancouver. I don't think I can reset the deck here. Everybody wants to see Vancouver now. The expansion, Vancouver Legion. We won't keep them waiting any longer. The breakdown of Vancouver's schedule. This is tough, guys. This is a tough schedule. They sort of got I don't know what the word is, but this is a challenge. 3 of 4 on the road at Mexico City and at Houston, 2 teams that made the playoffs. Plus you've got Alaska in there, a playoff team from last year as well. But Vancouver does finish with 3 of 4 at home, so either they can get some positive energy rolling towards season 10, or if they're in the mix for the playoff hunt, that could really work to their advantage, especially since their last 2 games are against another expansion team and a team that hasn't made the playoffs in 6 years. Matt, what do you think of Vancouver's look?
I think they got a tough schedule for a expansion team, but I mean, the SFL, like I think it was Demond who said it's just a tough place. I mean, every week you got to compete, game in and game out. They finish. I think what'll help them a lot is they finish 3 of their last 4 at home. They play Mexico City, Sioux Falls, they're at San Antonio, and then they come back to play OKC. I think that'll help, but again, they open up the season with 3 of their first 4 away at Mexico City, at OKC. They're at home against Alaska, and then they're at Houston. So it'll be a tough. They'll finish it as long as they finish well in the end of the season. I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, they actually, interestingly enough, Vancouver has 3 straight games against Texas teams. San Antonio in week 5, Dallas in week 6, and Houston in week 7. Funny how that worked out. They play Dallas just once on the road, and then they host Sioux Falls just once at home in week 10. All right, who's next? Who's next? We've broken down Vancouver, St. Louis, Baltimore, Chicago. What do we want to see in the chat? We'll get those notes from them. Sioux Falls, AJ Levy says. All right, we'll break down Sioux Falls. We'll start taking some calls here in a little while. But the Sioux Falls Sparrows, 8-4 last season, 3rd straight trip to the playoffs in season 8. They open up against Houston, but then 2 on the road. Pretty balanced schedule for Sioux Falls. The only time they have back-to-back home games is at the end of the season, and it's against the 2 toughest teams from the Western Conference last year, Alaska and Dallas. But prior to that, they play 2 expansion teams and Oklahoma City. So, Dion, what do you think of Sioux Falls?
Did you say my name?
Yes. What do you think of Sioux Falls, Dion?
Oh, I didn't hear it. Kind of muted. Let's see the schedule. 1, 2, 3. I mean, Sioux Falls, they always tough. Julian Tyree, he's gonna have a breakout season, I think, for them to actually get into the playoffs and make some noise. They start off with crazy tough schedule: Houston, Alaska, and you gotta go to Alaska and Mexico City. So they better have their passports ready.
Yeah, that is tough, man. All the way northwest, and then the very next week, all the way south.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to go down there.
Yeah, that's a tough back-to-back right there. Did not notice that making the schedule, and everyone in Sioux Falls is like, well, maybe you should have, probably. All right, just looking in the chat after Sioux Falls. Let's see. Had a few Carolinas. Let's bounce to Carolina. Look at what the new look Skyhawks are going to have to deal with. And those Skyhawks open up with 3 of 4 at home. A chance to get some victories under their belt. But boy, oh boy, that back half of the schedule is just awful for Carolina. Queen City, at Baltimore, at St. Louis, Chicago, Atlanta, Tallahassee. That is rough. Demond, is that how you see it, or am I just looking at it funny?
No, that's tough, man. You going up against some teams that got some really good firepower on the back end of the season. The front end of the season looks pretty tough as well. So they're pretty much going to have to pull some wins out in the middle here. We'll see if they can get, some lucky ones towards the end of the game there that they can pull out. But they pretty much have a really tough schedule is what I'm looking at here for Carolina.
All right, we saw a couple of San Antonios in the chat. Let's see the Vaqueros, their inaugural schedule. And pretty balanced. Couple road games, tough road games at Mexico City. Actually, that week 7 to 10 block, Mexico City, Sioux Falls, Alaska, Dallas, 4 straight teams that made the playoffs last year, and 3 of those games on the road. Matt, what else are you looking at the Vaqueros here?
They're opening up the season not at home. They're opening up the season at OKC. They come back for their home opener against Mexico City. That's going to be a tough game. 2 of their first 3 is away. They'll play at Houston, also a tough game. Then they end the season, 3 of their last 4 is at home. But they do play 4 very good teams in Alaska, Dallas, Vancouver, and Houston.
And they play the Texas two-step 2 times in the last 3 weeks, so travel won't be too big of a problem late in the season for San Antone. All right, who else have we not gotten to? We got I'm effing problem in there. Let's pop in and see what Atlanta's doing down there at the Hive. Atlanta 5-7 last season, going into their sophomore campaign. 3 straight home games between weeks 4 and 6. Queen City, Tallahassee, and Baltimore not not an easy stretch, no doubt about that. And then the team ends with 3 of 4 on the road. Dion, what part of Atlanta's schedule has you intrigued?
Definitely the 3-game homestand. That's right in the middle of the season. If I remember, they kind of got on the roll around that same time last year. They jumped from like the 3rd or 4th place all the way to number 1. So if they can take those 3 games, then that's gonna go far. It's trying to get them in the playoffs, and they all versus tough, established teams: Queen City, Tallahassee, Baltimore. And they got Queen City, Carolina, and Cleveland at the end. So if they can get that chunk of those wins in the middle, then they should be able to finish strong. As long as they don't drop the ball at the end, then they should be a pretty good chance of making the playoffs.
All right, so we've seen Atlanta, Baltimore, Carolina, Chicago, San Antonio, St. Louis, Sioux Falls, and Vancouver. So we're just going to run through the ones that we haven't gotten to yet. Let's take a look at the Alaska Storm schedule this year. And yes, it won't be as cold as it was last season. Everyone, I think, around the league is happy about that. 4 of their last 6 at home, and the one road trip they have is not one of their longest of the season, just at Sioux Falls. So that's interesting. Alaska's going to get very comfortable with the eye, but starts with 3 of 4 on the road. Demond, how do you see Alaska's schedule shaping out?
First of all, week 1, they got their big matchup with Dallas. They're coming into where they have to they host Dallas. No, they at Dallas. I can't see.
At Dallas week 1, and then they host them 4 weeks later.
Got it. Yeah, so they're at Dallas, and then they got 2 great teams coming in back-to-back weeks there at the beginning of the season. And then, they host Vancouver. We'll see how that turns out or whatnot. But then looking at the back end of the schedule, they got Houston, Sioux Falls, and Mexico City.
Yeah, late. That's tough.
Late. Yeah, that's tough. That's playoff stretch right there. Those last 3 weeks, man, make a difference come playoff time. So that's going to be a great outcome to see how everything just falls out.
Depending on where that Houston team ends up, it'd be quite a good piece of rivalry going forward if Alaska manages to knock Houston out of the playoffs on the comeback last season, and then possibly knocks them out of the
Oh my goodness!
And hey, man, what do you mean where Houston ends up?
So
we always end up in the playoffs.
Oh man! I didn't know where Curtis was going with that, but it sure ended pretty. Man, that was beautiful. What a nice piece of analysis there. That was.
I'm taking a virtual
nice.
bow. You can't see it.
All right, so that's a look at Alaska. Let's look at the team that we're talking about right now, the Houston Hyenas, and how their schedule shaped out. A very unique schedule indeed. They're the only team in the SFL that will play 4 straight games at home. The consolation is that they start with 2 on the road. Matt, what do you think? Would you rather have a stretch of home games like that, or would you rather have them a little bit more spaced out? How do you view that?
The way the Houston schedule plays out, they play 2 away games and they play 4 home games and they play 2 away games. I really do like their schedule. I mean, if my schedule is going to be set up like that, I would like to have the 4 away games if I wasn't going to have any more than 2, or 4 home games if I wasn't going to have any more than 2 consecutive away games, if that makes sense.
So you'd take the 4 at home way over the 3 on the road, right?
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, they play Dallas, Alaska, Mexico City down the stretch. That's a tough block there, and then obviously Sioux Falls and Dallas both on the road, both in the first 2 weeks. Is tough too, but their first 2 home games are against expansion teams, which, no knock on expansion teams, but we know how difficult it is to win in this league. Last season, St. Louis finished 4-8, Atlanta finished 5-7. They both missed the playoffs. Alaska was fortunate enough, but we almost did not have any expansion teams win any playoff games last year. It's not a cakewalk. There's definitely a learning curve, and so that's what
comeback.
That's what we're going off of. And hey, if an expansion team makes the playoffs, it's a bonus, man. Hats off to you, because it must have been a heck of a job that you pulled out. All right, let's take a look. Let's go south of the border. as we approach Taco Tuesday, and let's see what Mexico City is all about. The Aztecs will play 3 of their first 4 at home. We'll finish with 3 of 4 on the road, including 2 trips at Vancouver, at Alaska, twice in the last 4 weeks. Dion, how do you see Mexico City shaping up?
Yeah, those games are gonna be crazy. Those are road games. They got to come off to a fast start because it's gonna be brutal down the end with all those away games. What is that? 1, 2, 3 of their last 4 are all on the road.
Yep.
So they better take advantage of those home games while they're in. It's difficult to come to go into Mexico and get a win. I mean, that's hostile territory. They got one team, so the whole country is gonna be there. It's gonna be like 200,000 people in the stands, probably.
Yeah, they definitely pack it in at Stadio Azteca, and Mexico City, who just improbably a 1-5 start last season, made the playoffs, gave Dallas everything that they bargained for, and fell just short of advancing to the conference finals. The season before that, they were the number 1 seed in the conference. This team is a winner. They always have been. So that's a look at Mexico City. How about a breakdown of the defending champions? This is interesting. The Queen City Corsairs, 4 titles in 8 seasons, and this is what their schedule looks like. 3 home games. Everybody is screaming at the SFL schedule makers right now. Why in the world would you give Queen City 3 home games during the stretch of the season where they figure things out? Tallahassee, Cleveland, Atlanta, they do finish up with 2 on the road at Chicago, at Baltimore. Demond, what do you think of the defending champs' run to a 5th title?
Oh, man. Queen City is a team that they're a puzzle team. You know, we all know that they start off slow, and then somehow they just find this energy boost come around week 8, week 9, and they just go on a tear. And they just start winning some ball games, and not winning ball games close. They end up winning ball games by a large amount of points. So the first couple of weeks is going to be pretty interesting, where they visit. I mean, they host St. Louis, and then they at Tallahassee, Baltimore, and Atlanta. So that's going to be pretty nice to see how they do versus great teams like Tallahassee, Baltimore, and Atlanta. We all pretty much wanting to see what St. Louis is going to be like. I feel that they're going to have a different look as far as the way how they came out last season. St. Louis, that is. Then on the back end, I mean, they got that 3 road game. 3 home games versus Tallahassee, Cleveland, and then Atlanta. And then they'll go on the road to Chicago and Baltimore. That could be tough places to play in, Chicago and Baltimore, that is.
Definitely an interesting look, and not too many teams have a 3-game homestand on the back half of their schedule, so it's interesting that Queen City was able to pull that one off. I believe the last team that we have not broken down, that we have graphics available for, is the Tallahassee Pride, the team that everyone thought was going to win the title last season, and it just did not happen. Pretty balanced schedule, although they do play 4 of 5 on the road, right in the middle, right in the meat of that schedule, week 4 through week 8. And those 4 road games, of those 4 road games, just 1 is against a playoff opponent from last season. That would be Queen City. Matt, a look at Tallahassee. How do you see their schedule shaping out, and what's the headline?
Tallahassee. It all depends on how they open it up like they did last season. I mean, if they go on a 7-0, 8-0 run like they did last season, I mean, look at their first 8 games. You got Baltimore, Queen City, Chicago, Carolina, Atlanta, St. Louis, Cleveland, and Queen City. If they can go on an 8-0 run with that schedule for the first 8 games, I mean, you have an unstoppable team.
All right, we're going to open up the line now here. We've got a little bit of time to take some rapid-fire phone calls, reactions on your team's individual schedule. 210-473-8428 is the number, and we'll take your calls, and let's hear what you have to say out in the SFL community. Analysts, if you guys would like to hang out here on the call, ask some questions, you're more than welcome to. If you have to go, you've contributed an hour and 43 minutes of your time. We definitely appreciate that. So no worries if you need to hang up. But 210-473-8428 is the number to call if you want to give your reactions on your schedule, as we have broken things down as best we can across the league. 12-week slate, no bye weeks, no cross-conference play. It's definitely going to have a little bit of a different feel this year, but 4 commentators on tap for each and every week, and that's going to be fun. Curtis, we've seen the chat popping all night. We were in the 50s for much of the night. You ready to get rolling here on this sim community?
Yeah, I think so. It should be a lot of fun. You were talking about no cross conference and things of that nature. That really does help to determine the best teams in each particular conference, which teams are going to represent your conference in the playoffs, and having to play against each other to determine that makes a lot of sense. And it's something I wish more leagues, both real life and in this case simulation, did. So very, very good decision making on that, and it's going to be interesting to see which ones come out in Western and Eastern conferences.
Yeah, and then once we get to that championship game, we're going to have a matchup that we've not had all season long, and it's going to make that game really compelling, because we're just really not going to have any idea what's at stake or what the two teams are going to do. So we're waiting on our first caller here. If we have any callers, we like to usually have the scheduled release show go about 2 hours, but we can cut it a little short or a little long as needed here tonight, as this is really the first opportunity to get going on Season 9. We have Maurice Spurgeon on the air to talk Chicago Wildcats. How you doing, Maurice?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm good. We're just breaking some things down. We've got Chicago back up on the screen. So what do you think? Chicago Wildcats
just to give you a heads up, we do not hear Maurice.
We can't hear him.
Oh, okay. No, that's all right, guys. So my apologies. Our analysts cannot hear you, Maurice, but I can. So we're just going to have to do things that way. Anyway, Maurice, what do you think about the schedule?
I like it. I mean, there's, like it's been said before, there's no certain win, and the East, I feel like, has been on the rise these past few seasons, so good that we get to play everyone. It's also good that we get to go up against me and Shan's former team twice. That'll be fun. And we also get to go up against St. Louis, and St. Louis was the reason we got into the playoffs, so yeah.
What's the one game that you have circled on your calendar, Maurice?
One game that's going to be circled on my calendar. Probably going home to Carolina. Because Carolina is where I got me and Shan got our start. So it'll be fun coming home there.
Are you ever going to live down this smoke detector thing? You're getting beeps in the chat room and...
No. There's no living that down.
Oh, man, I feel for you. Well, hey, best of luck in Chicago this year. The schedule is out. You guys can start planning for Cleveland in week 1, and it'll be here before you know it. I mean, it just felt like we played the championship game a few weeks ago, and in a few weeks we're going to be hitting the field again. That's what's so great about playing 2 seasons a year, and best of luck to you in your new home.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
All right, you too. We've had a representative from Chicago on the line. Who else we got? 210-473-8428. Who wants to break down their schedule tonight? As we had to mute the commentators, and if they want to be unmuted to give any further analysis, I will do so, because we wanted to give them an opportunity to listen to what Maurice had to say as well. Sorry about that. Getting all I got to get my voice back into shape. It's getting tired. It's not used to all this talking. After the season ends, it gets a break, no doubt about it. But yeah, so we finally got it all broken down. If you missed it at the beginning of the show, here is your opening week slate. Sunday, a triple header and that includes 6 total games. And then Monday night, a doubleheader with Cleveland and Chicago, Vancouver and Mexico City. 513's on the call. That's Andy, I believe.
Hey, Cam, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. All right, Vancouver's inaugural schedule is out. What do you think? How do you like it?
Well, there's no guaranteed game in the SFL. I think that's an obvious thing that we've talked about. The West, according to what we saw last season, was one of the stronger of the 2 conferences. So going into that, I think you take each game with a grain of salt. I'm excited to get started on Mexico City, but I think this could have been a lot worse for us. Sioux Falls was a team that I was a little concerned about playing more than once. Have had some bad luck against them over the seasons with Carolina.
Yeah.
So I kind of dodge a bullet by only having to play them once in the regular season.
And at home.
Which potentially will give us more time to scout them. If we then meet them in the playoffs, potentially. Dallas, also, I think, only playing them once. I don't have the schedule in front of me, so I could be wrong there. I think it's a strong schedule, no doubt. But there were some things that could have made it a lot worse. I'm looking forward to getting started on Mexico City.
You are the last expansion team to have your home opener. It's week 3 against Alaska, but that just gives you 2 more weeks to sell some tickets, right?
Yeah, that's a fair point. Alaska is always going to be a good team, so I'll definitely take the advantage of playing them first at home as opposed to heading up there into the tundra for our first game against Max.
Yeah, you also get to host. I figured that would help you from a marketing strategy. You get to host Mexico City on Labor Day weekend, going up against the Canadian Football League with the Lions on a bye.
Yeah, we have already talked about. My locker room was right on top of it because we want to wear our Canada jerseys against Mexico City to support Canada against Mexico. Obviously,
Right.
Week 1 I thought was a little early for that, considering that we don't want to pull out an alternate jersey in the first week that we've ever played a SFL game. So that's a perfect week for it on Labor Day. So I might have to work something out with Ramos so he can wear white or green instead of red, because we'll have our Canadian red-white jerseys on that week.
All right. Well, it looks good. The schedule's out. Vancouver can begin to prep, and we are just another step closer to the start of the season. Andy, you're a commentator. We've got 4 commentated games in week 1. Which one of those 4 games was most interested to you? Do you want me to go through them again real quick?
Yeah, if you could, real quick.
Yeah, it was Queen City, St. Louis, Dallas, Alaska, Chicago, Cleveland, and Vancouver and Mexico City. Obviously, Vancouver is interesting, but the other 3.
Yeah, I think right off the bat, the Queen City, St. Louis one is intriguing to me. Both of these 2 teams are kind of unique. They're willing to try builds that not everyone else is. Queen City with the no cornerbacks last year worked out just fine for them. St. Louis is kind of going the other way that Sioux Falls went with a lot on defense and not much on offense, but they're leaning more towards a run offense. What does Eric do right out of the gate to stop that? I think it'll be interesting to see what they do all year, to what each team in the East does to stop St. Louis, and it all starts with Queen City. So we'll see what Eric throws at him, and I think that's an incredible first game, a nitty-gritty one. The team that wants it more will win that game in week 1.
We haven't gotten a chance to talk about it just yet tonight, but we've also got some training camp battles, 3 of them.
Yep.
This coming up in this next month, I believe you're going to be doing a game. Eric Vincent's going to be doing a game, and Curtis is going to be making his debut. Is that right? Do you want to announce these matchups? We don't have dates nailed down just yet, but we have some tentative stuff. What are our matchups that we're looking
I'd love
at?
to. I'd love to. So with the training camp battles, the one thing we wanted to do is get cross conference in because we don't get that during the regular season. We're going to miss out on some of that. So we wanted to do that, and we also wanted to make sure that the owners were willing to participate. We didn't want to put anyone's team in who they weren't willing to or wanting to be a part of it. It doesn't take anything away. We're doing 7-minute quarters. The playbooks are just the generic ones, so it really just comes down to getting those players' names out there, getting Eric and Curtis and myself ready in terms of announcing them. Our goal is to have some of the owners possibly be able to call in after the games or live on the games potentially to discuss, just their players, how they built their team this year, what they're looking for out of each of the guys, and give them some more airtime and give them something to look forward to in June. So I'm sure the chat's mad at me for going through that real quick, but we'll get right to the matchups here. We're going to have 2 expansion teams battle. We're going to do Vancouver and Chicago, so Shan and myself will do battle. I think that one is taking place in Vancouver for the preseason. And then the second matchup will be St. Louis and Houston. Demond and Collins teams will do battle. So
Dwayne.
We'll get a quick, fresh – and Dwayne, yes, sorry, excuse me, I didn't mean to disclude Dwayne. So we'll get a quick look at what St. Louis's coaching staff has put together with that build. So we'll get an early look at that before they take on Queen City in Week 1. And then the third and final matchup is the Alaska Storm, and the Tallahassee Pride. So Frank and Mighty will do some battle cross-country as Florida's on the far end of the country and Alaska's on the other end of the United States. So that'll be a good one.
All right, well, we look forward to those training camp battles, and that'll give us a nice something to look forward to in the month of June, along with the top 9 games in SFL history, along with the roster reveal show. We're gonna try to keep everybody as focused as they can be as we count down to the days of Season 9. Andy, thanks for the extended call because we needed to get that training camp battle schedule out there, and good luck to Vancouver in Season 9.
Thanks a lot. See you then.
All righty, we have time for one more call. Who wants to call in? One more call to give their thoughts on their schedule, and then we're going to put a bow on this to the teams, OKC, Dallas, and Cleveland, who did not have a team schedule graphic made up right away here tonight. I will send you one when I can here in the next week. Things are pretty busy as we finalize signings and everything like that, but want to make sure that everyone is treated fairly. While we're waiting on that last – oh, no, we do have that last caller. It's Dwayne Schindler of St. Louis. How you doing, Dwayne?
I'm doing fine. How you doing, Cam?
I'm good. Let's take one last look at St. Louis. What do you think about the Gladiators' outlook here?
Well, we're starting out against Queen City. That's definitely going to be a real test for us. And, we're in, and not to discount the West by any means whatsoever, but we're definitely in a tough conference in the East. I think, everybody's looking at all the big-name free agents that came into Chicago, and that's almost like an established team, even if it is their first season. And, Shan is an established coach, and, you have the defending champions. You got Baltimore, a perennial power. You got Tallahassee, a perennial power. You've got long-established teams with Cleveland and Carolina. So, and then, of course, Atlanta, they're not a team you can overlook at all. So it's definitely going to be interesting with the cross conference this year. But I don't necessarily like the free road games, week 3 through 5. I think that's going to be the toughest there going on I'm sorry. I mean, the home games are going to be good for us, I think.
Yeah. So would you take if St. Louis could have done their perfect schedule, would you have given up the 2 home games in the last 2 weeks to not have a 3-game road trip, or would you keep it the same?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, the 2 home games that we got are going to be tough games for us with Tallahassee and Chicago. The road games that we have, though, that they're not going to be easy games either. We have Tallahassee, Baltimore, Atlanta. Opening on the road, I think, is going to be that's going to give us a chance to show what we're made of. Most definitely, especially playing Queen City in week 1. I think the thing that's going to maybe make it a little bit easier being at home is by that time I think we're going to be fighting for hopefully a playoff spot, and it'll be shaking up the playoffs again like we did last season. We played really well down the stretch last season. Hopefully we can get that kind of momentum going this season as well. And this time, if, we get the ball to fall our way a couple more times, we could actually be in it and go to the playoffs this year. But we're excited. We've got James working hard on putting together his team, and Liam and Aiden. And before I forget here, too, we have a quick announcement. Liam has asked us to step down from the defensive coordinator role because he's taking a more active role in scouting. He's also, as I'm sure you're aware, working on some projects for the league. So we discussed it on Saturday, and then we offered the job to him. We're going to go ahead and give Ethan Alexander, otherwise known as Alexander Shayatovic, the defensive coordinator role this season. And we think he's going to be an excellent addition. He's an enthusiastic guy, and we got along really well when we were playing in Queen City 2 seasons ago. So
Yeah, that's right.
I'm just really – go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm just really looking forward to this season. It's still a ways away, but there's we got such a better outlook, I think, because we just really were kind of off to a sluggish start last season, and we've just really been on it this season. We got our recruiting finished when I was out of the country. So yeah. I think it's going to be exciting.
All right, Dwayne. Well, we look forward to it. Best of luck in St. Louis, and thanks for the call.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Final thoughts from our analysts. If you could mute whatever stream you were listening to listen to Dwayne. Dion, you wanted to say a few words.
Yeah, I just want to. On behalf of Chicago Wildcats, we issuing a challenge to the rest of the SFL. No other team will be more active than us. So this is for everybody. Get your participation up. Recruit your players. Get them involved. All the new rookies, if you want to move up in this league, it's simple. Just show up to the games. Support your teams. It's going to be difficult. When I first started, I think I'm the most competitive person there is. It sucks when you lose. You put in all your hard work all week to win the game. Sometimes it just doesn't go your way. So if you want to move up in this league, all you got to do is show up, be active, support your team. So, yeah, challenge issued. Chicago Wildcats will be the most active team all season.
All right. Well, we'll find out. We'll find out if that's true. Matt, do you have any final thoughts or rebuttal there to that challenge?
No, I don't. I was actually looking at something.
You were breaking down some a question that was asked in the chat about the schedule, which I highly doubt that any of those teams play all of the playoff teams twice.
To answer his question, from what I could tell, no, that Oklahoma City, San Antonio, or Vancouver don't play play all 4 playoff teams twice. San Antonio plays 3 of the playoff teams twice. They do not play Alaska twice.
Because to do that, they would have to play each other only once, and that does not happen. So the 2 teams that each team plays once was based off of strength of schedule of last season, but it was also based off of some entertainment value and some games that we absolutely wanted to see played out twice, things of that nature. So that is what determined those things. So. Matt, you have anything else to add?
And then Vancouver plays 3 of the playoff teams twice. They play Mexico City twice, Houston twice, and they play Alaska twice. Yep, that's it. Yeah. Okay, that's all I have.
Tough sledding all around the league, no matter how you slice it. Curtis, any final thoughts before we sign off here? You're going to have your first called SFL game, albeit a training camp battle, but it'll still be a chance to get your beak wet. Oh, sorry, Curtis, I muted you. Let's try this again.
Oh,
go ahead.
Hey, excellent. Okay, well, before I was so rudely interrupted. I'm looking forward to it. The more and more I get engrossed in this league, the more and more I see has gone into it, and the more and more fun that I'm having kind of engrossing myself into it. So I'm looking forward to getting, as you said, my beak wet with the training camp battles game, and then getting the season started the right way. It should be a lot of fun. I am very much looking forward to what this season has to offer and starting to get some history down with this league.
All right, thank you, analysts, and to Demond Simien as well. It was much appreciated you being along for the ride tonight. I couldn't have done it without you. Bravo to your homework, as the analysts got the schedule 24 hours in advance in order to prepare for this show. So we appreciate that. And if you are interested in helping out the league in any further shows, you can gain access to some projects and some juicy details early, just like these gentlemen were able to do. And obviously, it makes your SFL activity portfolio look pretty dang good. Thank you all to everyone in the chat who was here tonight. We were up over 50 live viewers for much of the night before things started to wind down. So we appreciate that from everybody. Thank you, analysts.
Alrighty.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that concludes our show tonight. We will be back on the air in a couple of weeks for the roster reveal show, training camp battles, all that good stuff. And I am SFL Commissioner Cameron Irvine, and once again, we thank you for joining us here on the SFL Schedule Release Show. The following has been a special presentation of the Simulation Football League.